In the city of Neverwinter, a dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker asked you to bring a wagon load of provisions to the rough and tumble settlement of Phandelver, a couple of days' travel southeast of the city. Gundren was clearly excited and more than a little secretive about his reasons for the trip, saying only that he and his brothers had found something big and that he'd pay you 10 gold pieces each for escorting his supplies safely to Barthen's Provisions, a trading post in Phandelver. He then set out ahead of you on horse, along with a warrior escort named Sildar Hallwinter, claiming he needed to arrive early to take care of business. You've spent the last few days following the high road south from Neverwinter, and you've just recently veered east along the Tribor Trail. You've encountered no trouble so far, but this territory can be dangerous. Bandits and outlaws have been known to lurk along the trail. You've been on the Tribor Trail for about half a day. As you come around a bend, you spot 2 dead horses sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking the path. Each has several black feathered arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here, with a steep embankment and dense thickets on either side. Approaching, you can see that the saddlebags have been looted. Nearby lies an empty leather map case. Before you can investigate further, an arrow pierces the earth next to your foot, recognizable by the unmistakable shoddy craftsmanship of the goblin tribes. The arrow came from the nearby tree line. Surrounding each side of the trail are hints of motion and the forms of 4 goblins. 2 on each side of the road can be heard snickering and seen creeping behind the brush. Along with the other travelers, you make quick work of the small goblin troop. Obviously just a scouting and raiding party, they must have been waiting to ambush anyone or anything who came to investigate the dead horses. While investigating further, you hear a noise, like a wild pig trampling through the briar. A goblin who had remained hidden is seen dashing towards a clearing and off to the mountain. You pass through the foliage to find a small trail leading back towards the mountain face. This must be what is known as the Goblin Trail. It seems likely that whatever fate came upon Gundren and Sildar, the truth would only be found by following this trail. Members of your caravan lead your wagon off the trail, hiding it with some branches and vines. The oxen are tied off nearby, and one of your crew offers to watch the load while you and the others search for Gundren down the Goblin Trail. The trail leads 5 miles northwest. After about 10 minutes of leading the party through the woods, your step triggers a noise just off the side of the road. And then, a rope coils around your ankle and rips upward, yanking your foot off the ground and lifting you up into the air to dangle upside down about 3 feet above the ground. You see small goblin footprints while your face is near to the earth, and you can tell now how they skirt around the side of the trail here to avoid this trap. Thankfully, another adventurer in your company is able to cut you down easily. However, the process certainly reveals that there is a need to be careful how you approach from here. Another 10 minutes down the trail, and the familiar goblin tracks again lead off to the side of the path. In the walkway is a pit the goblins have camouflaged. The pit's walls are not steep, which might imply that these traps are not meant to be fatal, but just to slow would-be pursuers from catching the goblin bandits. The party is able to easily walk around the pit and continue on the goblin trail. From the back of your group, a soft-spoken man tells the party what he knows of the area.
The Cragmaw tribe of goblins has established a hideout from which it can easily harass and plunder traffic moving along the Tribord Trail or the path to Phandelver. The Cragmaw tribe is so named because each member of the tribe sharpens its teeth so they appear fierce and jagged. The leader of the Cragmaw bandits lairing here is a bugbear named Clark,
he says, as the others take note and ready themselves to find the Cragmaw's hideout. Following the goblin's trail, you come across a large cave in a hillside 5 miles from the scene of the ambush. A shallow stream flows out of the cave mouth, which is screened by dense briar thickets. A narrow, dry path leads into the cave on the right-hand side of the stream. On the east side of the stream flowing from the cave mouth, a small area in the briar thickets has been hollowed out to form a lookout post or blind. Wooden planks flatten out the briars and provide room for guards to lie hidden and watch the area, including a pair of goblins lurking there right now. Reaching for your weapon, not knowing if you've been spotted quite yet or not by the goblins lurking behind the briars, you suddenly notice that a member of your group is already missing. A smaller-framed wanderer who'd been with your party from the start, cloaked and hooded. Their identity has been hard to discern, but now the missing party member re-emerges from the shadows behind the goblin guards. Just as one locks eyes with you, the goblin opens his mouth to scream and alert. However, it is muffled by the hooded adventurer's gloved hand as they slit the goblin's throat clean. You look to see that the other goblin is not standing alert, but is pinned to a tree with several crossbow bolts sticking through his vitals. Both guards have been dealt with, and the shadowy adventurer returns to their spot in the marching order, ready to enter the cave with the rest of the group. Just inside the cave mouth, a few uneven stone steps lead up to a small, dank chamber on the east side of the passage. The cave narrows to a steep fissure at the far end and is filled with the stench of animals. A narrow opening in the east wall leads to a natural chimney, and at the base of the fissure is rubbish that's been discarded through the opening above. Savage snarls and the sounds of rattling chains greet your ears, where 3 wolves are chained up just inside the opening. Each wolf's chain leads to an iron rod driven into the base of a stalagmite. The wolves begin to take notice and show their fangs. Amongst your crew, an older gentleman steps forward and gives the signal for the rest to wait, as they seem to have a plan. He reaches into his sack and withdraws a good handful of dried meat, which he extends beyond himself as he approaches the wolves slowly. They snarl and sniff, and the wolves drag their clinking chains across the stone floor as they interrogate the offering. Then, the largest of the wolves begins to eat the meat from your colleague's hand, and he passes out pieces to the other two as they sniff and decide that you must be friend, not foe. You and the rest of the crew are given a signal, and you slowly cross the chamber as the wolves chomp on salted meat and watch you pass, happily wagging their tails. The main passage from the cave mouth climbs steeply upward, the stream plunging and splashing down its west side. In the shadows, a side passage leads west across the other side of the stream. A few members of your entourage motion toward the side passage, and they begin to creep along the walls to keep dry of the stream itself. The stream passage continues up beyond another set of uneven steps ahead, bending eastward as it goes. A waterfall sounds out from a larger cavern somewhere ahead of you. Above, a rickety bridge spans the passage, connecting two tunnels that are 20 feet above the stream. Then, the passage is suddenly filled with a mighty roar as a huge surge of rushing water pours down from above. The water crashes into the walls and smashes downward through the cave mouth and onto the party. Try as you might to hold on to the rocks and rubble which make up the sides of the cave. However, as the wave wraps around you and lifts your body up, there is nothing to hang on to. You do your best to stifle any screams which might further wake up whatever might have triggered this. You stumble to your feet and gather your senses. A few of your comrades are able to stand and rejoin the crew. And so, you continue onwards, back up the slick, muddy path, along the stream, and into the Cragmaw Cave.